Making your low end sound balanced is one thing. Creating a sound that's instantly recognizable as your sound is completely different. In this video, I'll give you the tools and ideas you'll need to elevate your low end from sounding good to sounding complex, compelling, and distinct. So let's cover creating epic kick and bass with some advanced mixing concepts. Also, just a heads up, if you're only mixing with samples, you might not find this video very useful. There isn't much of a need to learn how to mix something that's already been mixed. If you are recording live drums, or if your bass isn't MIDI, this is going to help a lot. Now for this video, I'm using a personal session. It's definitely far from finished, but it should be a good way to showcase these ideas since the kick and the bass play simultaneously. All the blue tracks, so the ambient drum mic stem, all the kicks, and the bass guitar are unprocessed. The red tracks like the guitars, the snares, and toms are processed. Although we're covering kick and bass, I want to show you how to work them into a mix with more instrumentation since that's likely what you'll be doing. Let's take a quick listen to the track without any processing on the kicks or the bass. A fair warning, it's not sounding too good just yet. Starting off, let's cover optimizing your kick. So right now, the kick doesn't sound horrible, but it does sound a little loose. If we take a close-up look at the waveforms, we can see that they aren't aligning properly. The three recordings from the original kick are very similar, but were recorded milliseconds off due to the differing mic placements. So it's best to adjust them to align with one another manually. Now you might have noticed these layered samples are here as well. In short, I found some live recorded kicks to blend in and adjust to help fill out their sound. Aligning these is more difficult since they're not from the same instrument. So once you have your kicks aligned, align these as best as possible to align with the peaks and the troughs of the original recording. When the samples are muted, the original recordings lack some punch, and when the original recordings are muted, the samples lack body and lows. Since your recording is going to be different, you'll need to layer in samples that fill the gaps of what's missing. Let's take a listen with the kicks aligned and notice how we're already achieving an impressive sound. I'll solo the samples so that you can hear how it's not just the samples that are creating an impressive sound, but it's the layering of multiple live recordings to create a complex timbre. Next, let's start processing the kick recordings. So for lack of a better word, the original recordings have some flub, a kind of warbling effect that occurs right after the initial hit. For the boundary kick, this is happening around 400 Hz. For the mic in the kick's port, it's around 160 Hz, and for the resonant mic, or the mic that's outside the kick, it's around 600 Hz. It's different for each recording, but finding and attenuating these ugly sections of the kick is imperative to creating a balanced sound that we could then build on. Once you've found these and you've cut them, as well as accented some things that actually work well in the kick using EQ, compress with settings that introduce some harmonic distortion. This is a faster attack and a fast release, and about 5 dB of attenuation, give or take a couple of dB. Then use some makeup gain to increase the quieter details. Already this is making a big difference, so let's take a listen to how the kick sounds now that the original recordings have some processing. Real quick, if you want to get your mixes to sound like professional songs, we have a mixing membership called the Sage Audio Membership, where you get access to Sage Audio University for in-depth mixing and mastering courses, private one-on-one mentorship, unlimited personalized mixing feedback, and 50 free mastered songs per year. Go to sageaudio.com or use the link in the description. Up next, let's start factoring in the bass. So with the kick in a better spot, let's work with the bass and start finding spaces for both instruments. If the kick and the bass are overlapping too much, I can almost guarantee the issue is the bass's fundamental frequencies. Instead of trying to attenuate each note with a bell filter, a low shelf with moderate attenuation will help significantly. Another aspect that's going to help differentiate the kick and the bass is the bass's overtones. The bass is thought of as just a low-frequency instrument, but so much is happening in the high mids and even the highs that we can amplify to make it easier to hear. The first thing we could do is bring up these quieter overtones with a wave shaper. This free Melda audio plugin is a good choice, or you could use the Oxford Inflator. Either way, we're amplifying the quieter details of the performance, which for a bass is typically these higher frequency overtones. Then, I like to create a send or a parallel track from the bass and isolate the high mids with a linear phase EQ. Then, I can compress them to make them more dense before adding some transient expansion. This lets me balance the bass's frequency response between the original signal and these isolated and processed high frequencies. I'll send both to a collective bus so that I can control the level of the overall bass from there. To tie everything together on the bass bus, I'll add some subtle saturation and very subtle low-frequency reverb. Let's take a listen to the bass now that it gives the kick some more room, and now that we've emphasized its high mids and highs using this parallel channel. Let's work on finishing the kick and the bass. So last up, I'm going to group all of the individual kick tracks together and process them collectively with some compression. Personally, I like this omnipressor, but use whatever you see fit. Also, just like with the bass, some very subtle reverb will tie everything together. Just be sure to use a different reverb type than what you used on the bass so that the two don't overlap too much. Lastly, I'll group all the drum tracks together and add a little maximization to glue all the instruments. With everything in place, I can adjust the levels of the overall kick or any individual tracks, as well as the bass and its high-frequency send. This mix still has a long way to go, and I've overemphasized the kick and the bass a little for the sake of showing you these ideas, but let's take a listen to the final result and compare it to the original. If you have any comments or questions and you need some help with your live drums, let us know in the comments. As I mentioned earlier, if you want to get your mixes to sound like professional songs, we have a mixing membership called the Sage Audio Membership, where you get access to Sage Audio University for in-depth mixing and mastering courses, private one-on-one mentorship, unlimited personalized mixing feedback, and 50 free mastered songs per year. Go to sageaudio.com or use the link in the description.